This is your place for all things Grand Rapids Griffins and all things Toledo Walleye. This is the Hockeytown West podcast with your host, Brandon Cook and Nick Harrington.
Welcome back to the Hockeytown West podcast, your source for everything Grand Rapids Griffins and Toledo Walleye hockey. I'm one of your hosts, Brandon.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Travis.
And oh boy, do we have a lot to talk about today. Holy smokes. We have 3 Grand Rapids Griffins hockey games to recap. We have a field of news to go through. But before we dive into that, Nick, how you doing, man?
Good. I only get one day off a week right now, so it's just Sundays at the moment. So it's going, A lot to do today.
Just chugging along. We'll try to make this as quick as possible, but we know how these go. Travis, how you doing, man?
I'm good. I've already done this once today. I'm good.
Yeah, you can hear how Travis was doing today in our Toledo episode later this week. Yes, we've been recording both in one day, trying to make this week a little easy because after this, the Griffins are off till Friday. The Walleye are off till Friday. We get some time off from covering a wild schedule of hockey here before we jump right back into another wild one. So we're going to enjoy that time off. So we're knocking out all our episodes today, which is in the podcasting world risky because news tends to break after you record everything. But we were blessed by the podcast gods today with news breaking before we recorded, where Elliot Friedman reported that Jack Campbell has cleared the player assistance program placed on waivers by Detroit, obviously for the full intention to assign him to the Grand Rapids Griffins. And suddenly we go from Ville Husso and Sebastian Cossa to Jack Campbell entering the chat too. Also a reminder that the Walleye still have 3 goaltenders down there currently with Gage Alexander, Carter Gylander, and Jan Bednar. So we got a lot going on here, but Jack getting cleared is one, just start there just for the player. It's a huge positive, right? You hope nothing but the best from every player that heads into the player assistance program. You want the program to work to help them with whatever they're battling. And it's good to see him cleared already. I think it's earlier than I anticipated. Sometimes these can take some time, but it's good to see him cleared. It's good to see him coming back. How are you guys feeling about the situation overall? Nick, I'll go to you first.
I'm excited. I don't know we don't know what he had turned in for. I'm glad he's feeling himself, or he's feeling he's ready to come back to work. It makes it definitely an interesting situation because the goaltending so far at Grand Rapids has been fantastic. I mean, you've got Ville Husso put up good numbers. I don't think they've given up. I was going through this earlier. I don't think they've given up more than 3 goals. They gave up 3 goals to Cleveland, 4 to Rockford, and 3 to Hartford. And Lehigh was 3. So while I was in Mexico, they got lit up. But when I came back, and before I left, they were 1 to 2 goals a game. So it's going to be interesting to see what Jack brings to the table. Maybe, I'm hoping he comes back to Grand Rapids, but maybe in this time period too, is maybe an NHL team takes a flyer on him.
I mean, it's a risky move for any team, but at the same time, yeah, sure, there's potential. I mean, we could wake up tomorrow and 2:00 hits and Jack Campbell's been claimed. I mean, there's definitely a possibility of that. And in the grand scheme of things, that leaves us with Sebastian Cossa and Ville Husso, and that's fine. We're obviously happy with that tandem there. And if Jack ends up working his way into this rotation too, it's going to create a lot of interesting games, especially when you look at the Griffins' upcoming schedule, because granted, they have 2 games against Iowa this weekend, but then they got a 3-3 following the holiday there. But Travis, what are you feeling overall with the situation?
Happy for the person. First and foremost,
obviously.
That's ultimately the biggest thing. You talk about Nick, possibly a team putting in a claim for a goaltender. Like, I just don't know who would be putting in a claim. Maybe Colorado, maybe Boston. I mean, Swayman hasn't had a great start to the year. But I think ultimately he just goes to GR. I don't think anybody claims him.
I don't think so either. It'll be crazy to see how long we carry 3-4, because let's say he comes back. He comes back and we get Jack Campbell, that played with the Bakersfield Condors last year in 33 games, 2.63 goals against, and a 9.18 or .918 save percentage. We get that Jack on top of the Kosa we already have, and Husso doing, like, what do you do? Like, you can't just rotate all three constantly. Like, that doesn't seem feasible, especially when we know they want Kosa to play a lot of games. So this is going to get interesting. I really don't know what's going to happen.
I mean, Waddy said to us the press of the first game that he wants Coast playing like 40, 50 games. So, I mean, that doesn't leave much between Billy and Jack to kind of sort it out. And Eisenman said he doesn't want to run with 3 goalies for the Wings. I can't imagine him wanting to run with 3 at GRA and 3 at Toledo. But, I mean, it's always good, I guess, for backup in case of an injury or something or a trade or who knows.
We're running the risk here recording right before Toledo has to make some roster decisions where they got to cut the roster down at 3:00 today. It's 2:35 right now. So anything crazy happens, we can definitely throw it in here. But I mean, I don't know, man. I'm just super happy for the player. I'm happy. I hope we do get to see Jack play some games here. I would like to see what he's about. I'd like to talk to him after a game. I've heard he's one of the nicest guys in the league. And I just, I always like a nice goalie who's fun to talk to and that performs really well. And I'm just really happy overall. I mean, I don't know. This is going to get really interesting. And the goalie carousel just adds another horse, right? That's all we've got here. That's our whole freaking season of covering these teams. But again, happy for Jack as the person, and we'll update you guys more as what happens with the player at this point. And who knows? We'll be talking about a rotation of Billy Husso, Sebastian Kosa, and Jack Campbell from here on out, possibly. And hell, Gage Alexander maybe in the mix. Who knows? I just feel bad for Dog. He's got to make the goalie bench a little wider in the locker room yet again. So
do you guys think, like, for Toledo then, because I know we mentioned the roster limit, do you think they'd end up cutting Gage Alexander?
They can't cut him. He's on a Red Wings contract.
Yeah.
So what do they do? Are they you think they'll run with 3 goalies down there?
I think they're gonna have to.
They cut a forward or a defenseman?
They're not gonna have to cut anybody.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's more or less somebody's probably gonna end up on IR is what's ultimately gonna happen.
And it's a 14-day IR. So you're like, if you're on it for 14 days.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And
it's gonna be interesting.
There've been enough nicked up players down there that I think it's just more or less gonna be paper moves going on.
Yeah. Yep. The ECHL transactions page will be our friend. We will say that. But yeah, moving on from all of that, because we could speculate and guess what's going on, but in these situations, again, we don't want to speculate. We're just happy a player's out of the player assistance program and back. So, but we'll move on from that to some other exciting news within the organization this week. Marco Kasper gets his first NHL goal. We got to talk about that. Obviously, after he's played a good amount of time here in Grand Rapids, it's good to see him get his first, and what a rip it was. But boys, how you feeling about Marco finally getting that first goal?
Great shot. I mean, that was a great shot. He's starting to find it a little bit offensively. You kind of seen that, it's only going to grow. I mean, he's a young player. Making that transition, it is a transition. I think that's probably the biggest thing is just like patience, right? I mean, it was kind of interesting last night. They had him out there with Kane at one point, so that could be a fun little thing to monitor up there. But as a whole, I think he's played relatively well. He's been one of the more exciting pieces to watch of that team. But as a whole, I mean, for him to get his first goal, pure excitement for anybody.
I thought it was interesting that he got his first goal in Anaheim, and Bergie got his first goal in Anaheim as well. So it was kind of cool. And they've been keeping those two guys together, keeping the chemistry from Grand Rapids up there. So it's good to see those guys connecting. They just got to find somebody on that third side.
Yeah, they definitely do. But at the same time, like Travis said, Marco he's been one of the more exciting players to watch. It has shocked me that the offense really hasn't come for him yet, but I think he just needed to get that first and it'll break through. I did love in that Anaheim game just seeing how many times Marco was in the scrums after the whistle, just causing a little bit of chaos, not backing down from everyone. And I was like, man, I miss having him in GR. It was always after the whistle, you can count on him to do something to get the other team riled up, and then he just kind of let it go, and they'd still be all mad at him, and they'd usually take a dumb penalty. So, yeah, it's good for Marco. Congrats to him again. First NHL goal. It's awesome. Other exciting news from the Grand Rapids side of things, we got to send out a congratulations to our captain, Josiah Didier, and his wife. They are expecting a baby boy. Their family's growing, so congrats to the cap. And one exciting thing for us, I don't know obviously when babies due, but dad energy after a baby's due or a baby comes in hockey, he usually comes through pretty well, and who knows, maybe it'd be around playoff time.
I think they said expecting was March.
Perfect.
So,
he's going to have dad energy heading into the playoffs.
I'm like, this will be a good time. It'll be interesting how chaotic it gets for him. And I just hope he continues to grow that mustache. I love that thing.
He's got the Movember stash going pretty good right now. It does. He did it last year too. I don't remember it looking this good. So, no, congrats to Dids and his wife. It's an exciting one. We had to throw that in here. Last piece for news updates around the team. We always talk about injuries with the Griffins because they've been one of the more injury-riddled teams so far this season within the organization. Carter Mazur, as Bob Kaiser said last night on the broadcast for the Saturday night game, is still expected to miss quite some time. We don't know what that time frame is going to be, but I think we're still probably looking at another month, boys. That's not the news we wanted to hear. I know going into this season, we wanted Mays to get as much playtime as possible, and that has not come to reality, unfortunately. Tim Gettinger skated this week. He had his hardest skate yet, so he is getting ever so close to coming back, which would be a great boost on the offensive side to have him back, especially the veteran presence he brings on the ice. So it is good to see that he's skating and skating hard. And William Vollinder is the biggest question mark. This was an injury that started as we took him out as a precaution in Lehigh Valley, and he still hasn't played since. And he did not make the short trip to Milwaukee last night even, which if he's not going to play, that's expected to not make that trip. Why waste the time? But at the same time, I'd really like to know what's going on with Wally, and one, get him back in the lineup, but two, just I hope he's okay, and I hope this isn't long term.
I think he's skating, to be honest, because I saw him come off of one of the Griffin admin little reels after practice, and it looked like he was in gear. So he's skating. I think they're just taking it day by day kind of thing with him right now. Hopefully he's okay, because I'd like to see him back in the lineup as well and kind of solidify that defense.
Yeah, it would be nice to have him back. Not that the defense has played bad by any means, but Wallander just makes an incredible difference out there, and just makes the coach's life even more difficult picking which defenseman to put in that night, because honestly, all of them are playing at a pretty good rate right now. But that's what we've got for injury updates. Hunter Johannes is back in the lineup like we mentioned before, but in case you missed that, he is back. He did have a broken nose. That was confirmed on the broadcast last night. So from that whatever you want to call it in Hartford, his nose was broken. That's why he's rocking the full cage, and I can tell he hates playing in it because he wants to go out there and be feisty, and he really can't, unfortunately, wearing that full cage. But as of right now, that's all the injury stuff, all the updates for the Griffins on that side of things. Last piece I had before we jumped into actually recapping these games is a couple just pieces for the franchise overall. The Griffins, with these games included this weekend, are tied for the second best start in franchise history through 15 games in this season. Absolutely crazy stat, because we've had some pretty good Griffins teams in the past, but we've also seen some teams in recent years that really struggled to start, and then they got to turn it on late in the season. You know, like we did last year, have that crazy tear we went on after the Christmas break. And the biggest question mark for us heading into the season was, how would they start? How would Dan Watson and everyone else get the boys going, and how would they start the season? And holy smokes, we're off to an incredible start. If this is something that we can keep consistent, which I feel like we can, this team is an incredibly talented hockey team, and still play the second half of the season like we did last year. What do you boys think this season looks like overall for this team?
Yeah, I mean, this team so far, like you said, we've had to deal with some injuries. We had Marco Kasper played, I think, one game, and they got called up immediately. You've got Mazer out, who's been out for a while. Vollander out as well. Like, these are top guys. And what we've been able to do is just bring up for the guys that we signed in the offseason that were assigned out down to Toledo because we just didn't have the roster space. So seeing these guys, like how deep they are, just gets me excited. Like, we start off this fast start, and we're just going to continue rolling through. Like, we had some concerns about offense, right? Because like we just weren't getting it going, it seemed like. And then a little bit of concerns with the defense. But like I said, there's only been like 3 or 4 games that they've given up more than 2-3 goals. And it's, to me, I'm like, that's just, you can just always rely 4 goals for the offense, 2 goals against on the team. Like, that's kind of the trend that they've been doing. And they've taken down big guys. Like, they've been able to take down Rockford. They've been able to stay undefeated against Milwaukee. I mean,
yeah, that's huge.
They've been good on the
huge
road.
right there.
They haven't lost. They lost 1 game at home. Like, I mean, the stats, the way the team's playing is great. There's still some things that they need to work on, but I mean, that nothing's ever perfect, right?
No, of course. There's always going to be opportunity for them to work and improve, right? Which is always good because they've got something to work for and you're not just coasting through. But at the same time, like, everything that's gone right this season so far is everything Dan Watson told us in the offseason they wanted to focus on and start off with this season. And boy, did they deliver. But, you mentioned goals, goals against. The defense has been great. This Griffins team through 14 games in the season, because this is when I got the stat, the fewest goals against in franchise history through 14 games. And that number was cut in half from the previous fewest time, which is insane. Like, they're not allowed. The goaltending and the defense on this team right now is absolutely wild. And I know, Trav, obviously you and I are pretty much the head of the COSA booster club over here. But overall, just team defense and goaltending, just absolutely wild to watch, hasn't it been?
Been really good. Maybe a little bit better than I expected, to be honest. Credit to Dan Watson. I mean, this is like his, like last year he got to learn the American League. It's an adjustment, right? It takes time. And he came out and told us this summer that, the start was going to be better this year, and they've lived up to that. Cosa's taken another step this year. You're starting to see some of the young players on, playing in front of him taking another step early in this season. I mean, look at what Bouillam's done in his games. Tuo's played pretty solid. Your young guys that he expected to take steps have taken steps, and that's all part of the reason why they're off to the start they are.
And I mean, if you're wondering where we're saying, the defense and everything else has been off to a crazy start, the Griffins through 15 games have the second fewest goals against in the American Hockey League, which was crazy when we'll talk about their matchup with Milwaukee last night, because Milwaukee is actually leading that in the American Hockey League. You had 2 teams going up against each other that allowed the fewest goals in the league. 2 teams at the top of the league in points. It was a crazy match. We'll get to that later. But yeah, just wanted to throw those 2 little history pieces in there because they were nice. But we've got to jump a little bit back in time here and go back to Wednesday and talk about a school day game that was an absolute riot to go to. Besides the screaming children, the Advils were definitely clutch that I threw in the media bag in that game, because holy smokes, even for only 7,000 people there, those kids were loud. Like, that's the loudest school day game I think I've been to in a long time, and I usually don't miss that game, so I've been to quite a few. But Rockford comes to town in this one after we just beat Rockford in their turf, and you kind of wonder what to expect. And before this game, a familiar face gets added to the Rockford lineup, and Andreas Athanasiou, which I did not expect to happen. But knowing that, you kind of came into this game going, he's going to score a goal, isn't he? And sure enough, 28 seconds into the freaking game, he breaks in down the left side of the ice and just gets one past Kosa right away. And we all of us in the press box were like, yep, saw that kind of coming. He was not happy about being sent down, came in, scored right away. Cool. That was it for the first period in scoring there. You come into the second period, 53 seconds in, Cross Hanas gets his 4th of the season from Amadeus Lombardi and Alexander Doucette. You see this line formed for this game. It's the second time this season Doucette's been placed on anywhere but the 4th line. And he jumps up with Cross and Ammo here. This line was buzzing in this game. We'll talk more about it in a second. Still in the second period, though, just a few seconds later, honestly, a minute 40 into the period, Joe Snively gets his third of the season from Dominic Shine. Rockford does come back 2 minutes later with Andreas Antonisio getting another goal, because who would have saw that freaking coming? But he ends up being the only Rockford scorer in this game, which is an absolutely wild thing. You go into the second period still, though, 11 minutes, 8 seconds in, short-handed Austin Watson gets his first as a Griffin from Nate Danielson and William Lagesson. And then a few seconds later, Sheldon Dries gets his fifth of the season. Joe Snively, Nate Danielson. Nate Danielson, a little 2-point game here, but that wasn't it for the scoring. Going to the third period, 4 minutes, 20 seconds in, Alexander Doucette has himself a 2-point game, gets his second goal of the season from Amadeus Lombardi and Cross Hanas. Sebastian Kosa gets the start in this one, stops 28 of 30, and the Griffins win this one 5-2 at home. Make the kids all happy, send them back to school happy, but still get outshot by an opponent in this game, 30-21. Power play goes 1 for 1, and the penalty kill goes 4 for 4. A lot of positives to talk about in this game. A slow start in this one, right? You know, Rockford kind of comes out, outshoots us 10-7. Andreas gets that goal right away. It looked like the boys had drank decaf coffee that morning, and then somehow in the first intermission, we're just pumped full of Red Bull and whatever else you might have had back there. But to see the team kind of start off slow like that and have this resilient turnaround, what were your guys' thoughts just to see that sudden change, especially against a team like Rockford that's been a problem for us this season?
I mean, I saw the other school day game when they played at, I believe it was Iowa, and they started slow. They started slow in that game, and I'm like, it's a morning game. It's usually out of schedule for them. But Bob had said that they usually practice around that time anyways, so they're already practicing at those mid-afternoon game, those morning games to be able to skate through. So they should have been kind of awake. But I feel like what I've been seeing throughout these games is like they always start a little slow the last few games, and it just takes them a little bit to get warmed up, to get them going. And then it's like the second or third period, they start turning it on. So I don't know if the time of the game had contributed to it a whole lot, because I haven't seen it throughout all of the games of just a slower wake up.
Yeah, it was definitely a slower wake up, but even when they were off to a slow start, obviously outside of Andreas Antonisio, they had kind of shut down Rockford's speed. And that's been the problem with Rockford all season so far. Rockford might be one of the fastest teams in the AHL this year, honestly. And to see the Griffins defense at least be able to shut that down the speed and keep the dangerous opportunities to a minimum in the first. I mean, nothing was perfect. It looked like the boys were skating with cement blocks around their skates that morning. It was rough, but somehow still within that, able to shut down the speed. That was a really big positive. So I guess there's some positives to take away from a slow start, but to be able to turn around and have the game they did, it was really good. But we got to talk about the line that stole the show in this game, honestly. I mean, well, I guess there can be two, really. You could say the Nate Danielson, Austin Watson line obviously had a great game, but Deuce, Ammo, and Cross together might be some of the most fun hockey I've seen out of this team in a long time.
Yeah, the three players there just complementing each other very well. I mean, you got the kid. I call it the kid line at this point. You've got Cross, who's maybe a little bit older of the kids, but you've got him who's actually starting to feel it. He's heating up this season, and then Amadeus on pace, just short on the assist, but to put the same numbers up as Berge did last year, which I find crazy for the third line. And then
holy crap! Wait, really?
Yeah, he's pacing for goals. He's like 4 assists short to be able to hit it.
Oh my God.
Which is weird to think because he's been playing on the third line, a couple games on the first, but it's just kind of a sneaky. I mean, when you're getting goals from that third line, you're getting production from that third line. Like you can't complain there. Like you need those dirty goals every once in a while. But and then Deuce, he gets a little podcast bump after everybody talked him down and set him down to Toledo last weekend. So I mean, I knew he was just gonna go out. He was gonna be prepped for a big weekend. So I just love. It's just a fast line. They're very skilled. They're able to make the passes. a little bit crisper than most. I don't know. It's
Well, I
just,
mean, they're having fun.
they're having fun, you know.
They've all said it. Post game, they said it. We heard the interview with Cross during the game last night, and he's like, "We have fun out there together. We're just having a good time, and the vibes are really good." And they just go out there and do their thing, and they complement each other's styles so well. They're all fast enough to keep up with each other. You got Cross that can throw the body a little bit, and he's got a ton of skill with his shot. Ammo's speed and his passing is just unreal, and then his shot, of course, is fantastic. And you got Deuce out there, is a little grinder, man. He can go out there and disturb everything, but also generate plays. And he's playing his best hockey right now. And yeah, we had the conversation of, all right, when Gettinger comes back and these guys come back from injury, who gets sent down? And it was right after Seager had a 2-goal game, and we definitely said Deuce. And if he's a listener, sorry, buddy. I think we owe you an apology there, because we were not aware of your game, sir. Because holy smokes, he's playing some incredible hockey right now. We'll talk more about him as this recap goes on. But yeah, this was a fun line. Trav, I know you saw a lot of Doucette last year in Toledo, and I think what you're seeing from this line is a lot of what you saw from him down there, right?
Yeah, I mean, he can definitely chip in offensively. I've seen that firsthand. We've seen it with the point production in his junior career. And Hawkins told us last year, look, he ain't scared to go in the corner. He's a strong player. So he definitely is going to provide that grittiness to that line. It's just good to see that, 3 young players are starting to find their way at a very effective level.
Yeah, 100%. There's one last guy I got to talk about in this game, because, he did to weather the storm in the first period there, and that was Sebastian Cossa. At least he drank the right coffee that morning. Who knows? But at the same time, just another outstanding game for him. The Anthony DeSeo goals, there's nothing you could do about those. Everyone's seen what he's capable of doing at the AHL level. We saw it firsthand for a long time. Once he breaks in on you like that, you kind of panic and don't know where he's going to go, because he's so quick and so shifty. And the first one, Coase almost had it, honestly. He snuck it right under the left pad, and you're like, dang it. Like, he almost had that. It was a little bit of a flop and craziness when he was trying to get it, but he almost had him. But to weather that storm from Rockford in the first, and then just keep the boys in it, give them the opportunity and the chance to come back in the second and play their game. This game does not go this way without Sebastian Cossa. So major credit to him. I thought he was fantastic in this game and continues to just be consistent. And that was the key word when we talked about him in the offseason, and a key word he continues to drop with us in the regular season.
We got to talk about Nate in this game.
I was saving Nate for the next game, but
Dude, you're going to skip over the unbelievable highlight reel play he made on the 4th goal?
The shorty.
Yeah, let's talk about Nate in this game too. Why
he
not? Because he's arrived,
guys.
folks. Oh my God.
He walked 2 guys. The first guy he put on roller skates.
Yeah. So for those that didn't see it, it's over on the Twitter page, every other page that we have too. But Nate Danielson on this play gets the puck at the blue line, keeps it in, and then literally puts 2 guys on roller skates, like Travis said. Makes a fantastic pass over to Joe Snively, who rips it at the net and just happens to get tipped in by Sheldon Dries. But this goal was absolutely ridiculous. And you listen to the broadcast, and you just hear Larry in the background as this is happening. He's just like, oh my God. Like, dude, it was, the whole arena gasped. Like, every single person up in the press box was like, dude, holy smokes, what just happened here? It was unreal. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, the defenseman had no idea where the puck was.
No.
And when he passed it, he was just like, where? Just left him out there. I mean, it's good to see Nate. Like, I knew it was going to take him a little bit of time to adjust to the speed of the game, and that's what he told us too after the game the other night. And we knew the points were going to be there at some point. The production was going to be there. He's putting in the work. He's doing everything that we saw out of Ammo and Marco last year, and now the points are coming, and they're kind of coming in bunches. And this is kind of like the Nate that we saw in Portland that we wanted to see here. Maybe a little bit. Maybe we were a little impatient as fans to see that right away. But I'm glad he's hitting his stride. And like these deeks, just his gloves, his mitts, just so silk.
Dude, for real though. Like, I mean, we can officially say he's arrived at, through Wednesday and Friday's games. He had 6 points in 6 games. The offense is there. The defense has been there this whole time.
Yeah.
We've talked about that all season. He's defensively sound. He's a perfect 200-foot player. But every Red Wings fan was like, where's the offense? Well, it's here, and it's really, really good. But we've got to talk about the chemistry he has so far with Austin Watson and Elmer Soderblom as well. Like that line, it's been together pretty much all season, apart from Watson getting a couple call-ups to Detroit. But they're playing so well together. We asked Austin Watson after the game on Wednesday, we were like, what's it like playing with him out there? And, he just talks about how Nate's such a hard worker and the chemistry's really flowing well with him. And then, of course, I had to ask, Nate's got a chippy side to him suddenly in this league. And I asked if Austin Watson had been teaching him a few things or not. And Austin, of course, joked that it kind of follows him. So if you play with him, you gotta learn how to play it. But no, like they just balance each other really well. Austin Watson's always there to stick up for him. And you see that just, again, the character guy that Austin Watson is on this team. But those two playing fantastic hockey together. And, when you look at that lineup on paper at the beginning of the season, you're like, why are those two together? And now you see why, and it's starting to pay off big time. But that is all I have for the school day game. We will head to the ad break here when we come back. We've got the Friday game versus Chicago and the Saturday game versus Milwaukee to talk about, and then put a bow on this whole crazy last week of hockey. So, Nick, go read the ad.
The quest for the Stanley Cup starts now. The puck's dropping on the 24-25 season. Get in on all of the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Super easy for the first timers to get started. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your team, and place your first bet. With the Red Wings opening the season on Thursday, October 10th, the current line is Detroit Red Wings a minus 130 on the money line. Odds and lines are subject to change between now and then. And if you are new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers bet $5 to get $200 and bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $200 and bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Blue Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see tkng.co/ice. Copyright NHL 2024. All rights reserved. Hockey is in the air, and the throw of the game is bringing Griffin fans from all over the state to the Van Andel Arena. So when you're looking to get tickets, your number one choice should be Game Time. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. You can see players like Marco Kasper and Sebastian Cossa before they make their way to the wings, and you get the seat views before you buy, so you can see what it looks like from where you'll be sitting, which is one of my favorite things about Game Time. Curated deals make it easier to find the best price on great seats, and with the lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, job loss protection, and more. Game Time should be your number one destination for your tickets. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Pick. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code THPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code THPN for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time.
And welcome back. All right, let's dive into this game on Friday against the Chicago Wolves. They come to town for the first time this season, I think, unless I missed a game while I was gone. I don't remember playing them yet this season. I'm losing my mind already, though. That's what recording earlier than 8 o'clock at night on a Sunday will do to you. I'm not in my usual form. But anyways, Chicago Wolves come to town. Military Appreciation Night. Sick military jerseys this year by the Grand Rapids Griffins. And, they actually, I guess, went out of their way this year for their budget and spent some money on some black gloves and black shorts as well. As they said in the broadcast for one of the games, that was on purpose to pair up with some of the other jerseys that they have for this season. And as soon as they said that, I was like, oh, the gridiron jerseys with black accents like that. It's going to be so nice. But anyways, so that looked really clean. The jerseys were awesome. Do wish they had the military green helmets that they had teased in the pregame, whatever. But the whole thing looked sweet. The guys looked great in them. I think the players really liked them. And of course, it's just always good to do the military jerseys. They always go to a great cause in the auction after a game. And it's just always good to support and thank those who have served and currently serve. So as all of us say on this podcast, thank you as well. But diving into the game itself here, the Wolves coming into town, we'll be real with everybody here. Wolves are bad this year. Like, we thought they were bad last year, and they have shocked us so far this season with how bad they are. So we didn't really know what the Griffins were going to do with this, because it's kind of one of those games where I think, Nick, you mentioned to me even going into it, it could have been a trap game, right? The guys go into it thinking it's going to be a little easy, and they end up losing. That would be past year's Griffins teams 100%. Not this year's. Griffins win this one in a dominant 5-1 win. And boy, was it fun to watch. Quick rundown of the scoring, and we'll dive into the game. 1 minute, 29 seconds into the game, Nate frickin' Danielson gets his second goal of the season from Elmer Soderblom and Austin Watson. 3 minutes, 21 seconds into the first, Amadeus Lombardi gets his sixth of the season from William Lagesson and Alexander Doucette. And one more goal in the first. Austin Watson gets his second as a Griffin in as many days. He got his first one literally the game before this from Nate Danielson and Shai Booyam. And that's all she wrote for the first period. Griffins come out of that one with a 3-0 lead, out shooting Chicago in that period 11-8. Just pure dominance out the gate from Grand Rapids. Going to the second period, 1 minute, 14 seconds in, William Lagesson gets his second goal of the season from Elmer Soderblom and Austin Watson. Chicago does get one at the end of the second at the 18-minute, 27-second mark. It didn't matter, though. You go into the third period, and potentially the highlight reel goal of the game here for the Griffins, Joe Snively gets his fourth of the season from Dominic Shine. Dominic Shine flips the puck up to him. It's in the air. Snively catches it with his glove, drops it down to his stick, dekes the goalie, and we got a goal. But unreal effort from the Grand Rapids Griffins in this one. They outshoot their opponent 31-22 in this one. Sebastian Kosick got the start, stops 21-22. Great night from him. Power play goes 0 for 1. Penalty kill goes 2 for 2. Let's freaking dive into this game, boys. And I mean, I've got to say it again. We said it talking about the Rockford game, but Nate Danielson has arrived, right? This first goal to start off this game here from him, a fantastic goal. Great look from Elmer as well. Like, just overall, Nate's performance in this game, again, fantastic. He gets an assist on the Austin Watson goal. He goes down deep behind the net, passes it cross crease, completely fooling everyone right over to Austin Watson, and he buries it. Like, again, Nate's just playing fantastic hockey right now.
Yeah, I still don't understand how he got the assist on the second one. Like, I'm still rewatching it. I'm like, I clipped it and I'm still watching it. I'm like, where did Watson get the puck? Because like the camera angle and everything, like Nate, that pass was so sneaky. Like, he just snuck it under everybody. Watson was there. He was ready for it. Put it in the net. The first one, like Nate's first goal, just crashed in the net. I mean, it was cleaning up a rebound off of Elmer. It's just fantastic. Like, you see the work you see the points coming from the work that he's putting in. It was our first game against Chicago for the season. Chicago, like you said, Chicago is garbage right now. They're giving up the most goals. So for a coming out party, for everything to start hitting at the right time for Nate, like, this was the game to do it. So big props for Nate getting on the score sheet there.
The biggest thing what I say last week, guys, it's coming. It's just a matter of time. You did. And he had himself a hell of a week.
Oh, he really did. The whole line itself really did. Let's be real here. You know, Austin Watson has a great game Wednesday. He's a 3-point night Friday. Like, we were talking about who to interview post game, and I'm like, we just talked to him Wednesday, but I feel like he's given us no choice to talk to him tonight. But we'll talk to Nate tonight. But dude, a 3-point night from Austin Watson, which that's not what you'd expect. That's not his role as a hockey player, as you'd think. But in the American League, man, he's just putting up points left and right. And Elmer, he gets rewarded with 2 assists in this game as well. We're starting to see points flow from him. They went from secondary assists. Now we're seeing primary assists. It's only a matter of time before we start to see goals coming from this kid. It's got to happen soon. But his assist on Nate's goal, you know, he walks in, he shoots it right at the goalie's pad. We talked in our Toledo episode this past week. Tyler Spezia had the same thing to set up another guy for them. Smart shot, shoot at the pad for a big rebound. Nate comes in and buries it. But Elmer, overall, he looks so good out there. Don't let the points fool you, folks. He's playing fantastic hockey right now.
Yeah, I mean, just the way he was like possessing the puck, and there was one point, and I clipped it. He passes it off. He continues to move forward. He catches it with his back towards the net, and then lays it off again for somebody else to take that shot. Like, it's gonna come together. He's playing with I'm hoping he's playing with confidence right now, because what he's doing is fantastic. Like, this is the Elmer that we've been looking for the last like year, maybe year and a half down here at Grand Rapids, and everything's starting to come together. And I think maybe we see it like Christmas, like the points just start coming through in bunches for him, like kind of like that slow start that Marco had. I don't know, like I just don't know what the adjustment that he's having to deal with down here in Grand Rapids, but it's good to see the play. Before it was just like he's doing these stick moves, he's doing all these crazy like deeks and dangles, and it's like, okay, it's not going anymore, bud. Like, let's play basic hockey. And now he has, and he's still putting some of that flair to it, though. Like, it's starting to come together. Everything is starting to come together.
I think the biggest thing for him that I've seen this year that I love, that not everyone pays attention to, because if you're not watching every AHL game like we are with the Griffins, it's hard to see this stuff. But defensively, he's so much better than years past defensively. His puck protection is so good, and he's putting himself in the right spots to create plays. Like we talked about last week, he had a lot of secondary assists. How many third assists would he have if that was tracked, right? But now you're seeing him start to generate the plays off of his stick to the guy that's scoring. It's got to be only a matter of time before he finds the back of the net. And I've seen some celebrations from this kid in the past where the smile on his face is the biggest smile in the world, and can only assume once that one finds the back of the net, that celebration's going to be fantastic. He's going to lose his mind, and I just hope for him it comes soon. But like you said, Nick, I hope he is playing with confidence, because he is playing really good hockey.
Maybe we need to tell him. Maybe we got to request him after the game and be like, dude, you're playing well. Keep it going.
I know, right? I do want to request him here either at practice or a game here soon, because yeah, he definitely deserves the spotlight, because he's playing well. The 4 points in 15 games, don't let it fool you. Like, he's playing really good. But that line as a whole, honestly, has been really impressive so far this season. Trav, what are your thoughts when you look at just those three guys right there, Austin Watson, Nate Danielson, and Elmer all together? Like, on paper before the season, you wouldn't picture that as a line that would work, but it's worked surprisingly well.
Austin's doing a great job mentoring these young players. I mean, and it's really starting to show in their confidence. Nate's finding his offensive rhythm. Elmer's played well, just hasn't gotten the points like you said. But really, the big standout for me is Watson putting up the amount of points he's putting up, providing that veteran presence on that line with the two young players. I mean, it's just another thing that, like, these two kids get to watch a guy that's played a lot of professional hockey, how to handle themselves, how to grow the right way, play the right way, do the right things. So I think that's really the biggest thing that I've noticed so far.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, Austin Watson, what now? He's sitting fourth on the team in points, 11 points in 14 games, 2 goals, 9 assists, plus 8 on the season so far, and still goes out there and chucks him when he needs to too. Like, he's doing literally everything. But Dan Watson mentioned in his pregame interview in Milwaukee, he was unaware of what Austin Watson brought to the team on the backside of things in the room. And he's been pleasantly surprised. Like, he holds guys accountable the right way. He's got a cheery, fun attitude, brings the mood up even when it gets brought down in there. He's just a true leader on and off the ice. And when you look at that signing out of training camp, everyone was like, why? And now we're so thankful for it, especially that Nate Danielson's getting to spend this crucial time with a guy like that. It's going to pay off big time for Detroit down the road, 100%. But another great game from the Ammo, Deuce, and Hanas line again as well. Like, this line, I know I told Nick before the game when I saw that they kept together, I'm like, you're going to have so much fun watching this. And Nick, was I right?
Yeah, I mean, the kids are just going off like crazy. They're just feeding off each other. And when you're having fun, everything's easier. They're not out there thinking. I think, right? Is maybe what happened with Cross last year. He was just thinking too much. Now he's out there, he's having fun, he's letting loose, he's scoring goals, he's getting the assists. Like, it's coming together. It's making it exciting to watch Cross again, to be honest.
It really is. And it's fun to hear him speak positively about it too, because we know last year sucked for him. He was struggling bad. I'm sure the mental side of the game was even worse, more than we know. Like, having to battle back from an injury after you start to tear it up, expectations go up for what you're going to do when you come back. You have a rough season, but luckily for him, I guess you'd say, not for the team, but for him, some injuries opened up spots for him to move up the lineup early this season, and he's showing that he belongs there. And I really do like his play style right now because it's just pure fun. But one last guy to talk about from this game, outside of obviously, Sebastian Costa has another good game. Shocker there, right? No one saw that coming. William Lagesson, a 2-point game for him. And I didn't expect that, right? Like, come on. Like, Laggy's starting to play some really good hockey, but you got to talk about the assists on the ammo goal, right? I joked earlier that he walked the goalie into the Grand River. Laggy comes down the left side of the ice here, holds the puck, and you just see the Chicago goalie come out to challenge and kept coming. And I think Lagesson was like, how far is this kid going to come out? And just kept holding on to it. And then he just finally throws it over into the crease, and Ammo bats it in, and we got a goal. But yeah, just what a veteran move by that defenseman there. And then his goal, he jumps up into the play in the slot, activates, and gets a goal. And even he said after the game, you don't get to do that often, but when he did, it was great to see that he could do that. So what do you think of Laggy so far this season and in this game, obviously?
I mean, I'm looking at his stats for the last couple seasons. He was with the Marlies last year, the Wolves the year prior. So he put some big points against the Wolves in this game. 3 seasons with Bakersfield. And he's not much of a goal scorer. Like, his top goals, best season he had for goals was 10. So, I mean, you don't expect a whole lot. He's already got 2 in 7? How many games have we played already?
15.
15 games. So, I mean, he's pacing pretty well there. Right?
Yes.
But throughout the first half of the season, or first half of the season so far, it's been, what stood out to me was his defensive play. And so to be able to see him now, like, jumping into the offensive side, just like the kids, everything's starting to activate, all the offense is starting to flow. Like, this team is going to be scary here shortly. And I mean, I love defenseman goals. Like, it's one of my favorite things. When they're shooting, when they're scoring, like, that's when hopefully, is that the team is firing on all cylinders, right? You can't rely on your defenseman to be scoring goals every game. But if you could chip in 1 or 2, either rebounds or, get the assists and goals like that, I mean, it's fantastic. You saw it with Simon Edvinsson the other night in Detroit. So, but I mean, Laggy, veteran, solid, plays the game the right way, defensively sound, getting the hits in there, and now he's putting in that scoring touch, and this might be one of his best seasons based off of how he's pacing with us.
Yeah, he was honestly just a fantastic veteran addition by the organization. I love everything he brings to the game. So excited to see where that comes from there. That's all I've got from Friday's game. We got to jump into Saturday's game here against the Milwaukee Admirals. You go into this game, it's 2 of the top teams in the American Hockey League so far this year. 2 teams that have given up the fewest amount of goals. Like, you didn't really know what to expect. And what happened was not what I expected. Because jokingly on the broadcast, Bob, like 3 minutes into the game, goes, I think this would be like a 1-0 overtime game. Nope. So scoring goes as follows. The Griffins win this game 4-2. And in the first period, 12 minutes, 48 seconds in, Joe Snively gets his 5th of the season from Brogan Rafferty on the power play. Keyword there, power play, folks. That wasn't it for the first, though. About 2 minutes later, Jacob Rakowski gets his 2nd of the season from Andre Betcher, his first pro point, and William Lagesson throws another point there. And hey, guess what? It's on the power play. That's not something we're used to saying twice in a game, sometimes if at all in a game. Go to the second period. Cross Hanas at the 10-minute, 48-second mark gets his 5th of the season. An absolutely beautiful goal from him. And I think it's safe to say that Cross Hanas is officially back after that one. I think even Bob said it after the goal on the broadcast. Cross is back. Milwaukee does come back here in the second. They get a goal right at the end of the second period there on the power play. And, they were only on the power play for probably 3-4 seconds. They get this goal with 3.2 seconds left in the period. A nice goal by Kiefer Bellows, honestly, beats Philly Husso here. But you go into the second period kind of wondering what's going to happen. Milwaukee gets one 5 minutes, 22 seconds in. Kemmel gets his 5th of the season shorthanded, which that one stung right there. You let Milwaukee get back within 1 goal, shorthanded. But little did they know, Alexander Doucette at the 17-minute, 32-second mark was going to throw a big hit in the corner, take the puck in all on his own, short-handed, and score a goal. And that's all the Griffins needed to do. Like I said, they win this one 4-2. Ville Husso stops 30 of 32. A fantastic game from him. Griffins' power play goes 2 for 4. Penalty kill goes 4 for 5. Griffins do get outshot again, but still win. Like, that's just continuing to be the craziest stat of the season, only outshooting our opponents, I think, in one game and tying the opponent in shots in another, and still have as many wins as we do. But looking at this game overall, the power play is alive. That's 3 power play goals in the last 6 opportunities over these last 3 games. What changed?
The crazy thing too is, like, I'm looking at these stats. Milwaukee is 7th in the league for penalty kill, and there's only one other team that's got more times that are shorthanded than them, and it's Bridgeport. Which kind of makes sense, right? Wyatt Newpower's over there, so so
Love you, Wyatt.
like, it's crazy to see that they had so much success against one of the top. It's good to see too, is like they had so much success against one of the top teams in the league for penalty kill, and now after that, like after we just dismantled them, we just moved all the way up to 3rd in the penalty kill.
Yeah. I mean, the PK has been fantastic this season overall, but like, what do you see differently on the power play so far in these past 3 games? Because something's changed. Something's clicking. But what is it?
It's simplifying for me.
Yes, it is simplifying it.
It's simplifying it. There's a lot more just generating pucks towards the front of the net. Like, yeah, wasn't the Ryklowski goal a power play goal?
Yes, it was.
But like, if you look at the simplicity of it, a guy found an open area in Ryklowski, and Betcher found him in the wide open space. Look at the first goal they scored, Joe Snively. Time and space, just he continuously crept towards the slot because they gave him that opportunity, and he just fired it home. Like, if they're going to give you something, you have to take advantage of it. And the Griffins, I think, are doing a great job right now on their power play of just simplifying a little bit, taking the shots when they're there, not trying to pass too much to try to pass it in. They're starting to shoot the puck more on the power play, which I think is only going to lead to more chances and more goals.
And you're starting to see too, like, when they're taking those shots, they're not staying stationary in the positions they were at before. When that puck goes towards the net, you have at least 2 to 3 guys collapsing towards the net as well to pick up that rebound and try to clean up the garbage like we've been talking about. Clear up the rebounds in front of the net there, and magic will happen. Not that those goals have been scored that way, but God, there's been a lot of opportunities that way. I can think of one of the first power plays in the game last night when Danielson's power play unit was out there. It was some of the best power play I had seen so far from the Griffins this season. There was like 6 opportunities there, and every time it was because they got the puck on net, collapsed on net there to create pressure, and Corona unfortunately was able to stop those. But at the same time, it's just really good improvement to see the down low play happening, guys finding each other, but those shots, like you said, Snively walking up like that, he just kept creeping. He's like, how far are they going to let me go? And then rips it. And it's a great thing to see, because that's the one thing we've been dwelling on probably the most this season when we talk about this team is the power play. But I can't do that this episode. 3 out of the last 6 opportunities converting like that. I mean, that power play conversion in this Milwaukee game is what won them the game. That's the crazy part. Well, outside of a beautiful shorthanded goal. But yeah, power play looks so much better. And we got to talk about that Betcher pass too. One, his zone entry on that power play was so crisp. Finds a quick person to drop it off to, and Lagesson finds him in the bumper spot, and Betcher just throws it into the slot to Ryklowski, and he buries it. Like, that's a great move from a kid that, we go from a week ago going, yeah, we haven't got to talk about him too much because he hasn't really been noticeable. But over these past couple games, Betcher's looked really noticeable out there. And, I think it's another guy that if he had listened when we said, oh, who's going to end up in Toledo when guys come back? He's like, nah, not so fast. I got something here.
He's been pretty good. I mean, I haven't seen a ton of it. I didn't get to watch a lot of these games, but from what you guys have kind of filled me in on, and honestly, his vision was shown on the Ryklowski goal. I mean, to keep your head up, head on a swivel, find the open space, find the guy, and put it right on his tape for a one-timer. That's a hell of a play by a young player.
It is. It shows confidence, too. I mean, one, chemistry between him and Ryklowski is great, too. I mean, 2 Czech players, who would have thought, right? But at the same time, like, it's really, really good to see them getting things together. And obviously the third guy on that 4th line's kind of been in and out of rotation. It's been a little wild back there. You saw Hunter Johannes in this game on the 4th line there, but yeah, it's just good to see confidence growing quickly with Betcher. It's not something I thought we would see, it is a potential person. And we're like, well, if he's not going back to junior, he's probably going to end up in Toledo. And I think he's eliminated going back to junior from the conversation, at least so far. I just really like the confidence he's bringing to the table. But let's talk about the Deuce shorthanded goal, because I think this was a moment. If you're on the Milwaukee side of things, you're angry. If you're on the Grand Rapids side of things, you are just laughing. So for those that didn't see the play, Deuce goes in and hits a guy. It's close to the boards on the camera side of the ice. I can't see if it's a trip or not. The Milwaukee announcer, if you listen to their clip of the goal, he thought it's a trip. He was screaming about it. But at the same time, Deuce throws this hit in the corner, picks up the puck, skates in all alone, and buries it. Completely just ice cold, honestly. Like ice through his veins type of goal here. It's everything you kind of expect from Alexander Doucette at this point, because he's just making us sound like morons for saying, yeah, he's going to probably get sent back to Toledo potentially. Like, there's no chance in hell that's happening now. He has made Travis and I eat our words so fast. But this goal, like, I know you guys both saw it. It was sick. What are your thoughts on that?
All effort play. I mean, literally all effort. Like, he won a board battle. That's one of my biggest things. Like, if you're going to be a good player, you got to win your board battles. Won his board battle, and then you seen his speed go, and you seen the shot. I mean, that literally is just like, and it's funny because in junior, you see him put up 100 points. You think all skill, you're not thinking penalty kill. And like, for him to go out there on a penalty kill, playing probably a role that I don't think he killed a lot of penalties last year. I could be wrong, but like, just to see the growth of him as a player has been a lot of fun in the last couple games.
He leads the team right now with 2 shorthanded goals. Like that's crazy to me. And like you said, it's a full board battle. He won that. It's an all effort play right there. He takes that puck and he takes it all the way to the other end. I mean, I kind of saw something similar to this with Nate Danielson the night before when he knocked his guy down and then was able to take the puck a little bit on that side. So I don't know if it's something that the coaching staff's been working on, because now I've seen it twice in 2 games. So it's got to be something that they're working on. Just being tougher, doing that battle, take your guy. I mean, whoever's in the weight room with them, like that's where that's all coming from. It's just a strength and conditioning coach right there. So props to that guy.
That would be Marcus Kinney in there working with them. And I don't know if you saw the thank you veterans video they did Friday. He was the last guy to speak in that video, and you can tell that man brings the intensity. So yeah, he's a scary looking dude, but also a veteran. Thank you for your service. But at the same time, yeah, they're putting in the work, and I know that was brought up on the pregame interview as well. A lot of strength and conditioning credit there to what the team's doing, and you're seeing it on the ice right now in front of us, and it's absolutely wild to see. This team is just getting stronger and stronger and bigger, it feels like, every week. And to make some of the plays they're making, it's all credit to them on that side. And good video review, honestly, being able to anticipate plays from these other teams. They're getting really good at that. We saw it against Manitoba, where I asked Dan Watson after the game about that. He credits film study. Obviously Eric Yanni out there doing the great thing as a film study coach, but at the same time, like, the boys are smart. They're really paying attention to this stuff. They're absorbing it well. And they did a lot of film work over this week to prepare for this weekend, and it paid off big. And I think it paid off bigger the guy who it paid off the most for, Cross Hanas, man. Dude, he's back. Like, I will stand on that throne and say Cross Hanas is back. This is the Cross Hanas we saw his rookie year before that injury. Like, this is insane play right now. I don't know if it just happens to be because of the line and the chemistry that he's on right now and how they're all feeling, but dude, he's rolling right now. And, that was the question mark going into the season. Is Cross Hanas a lost prospect? What's happening here? What's going on? This last season was really bad for him, and he has shut everybody up so far this season, playing some of the best hockey I've seen him play so far.
Yeah, this season he's already got 5 goals. Last season he had 8, and the year before that was 9. So I mean, he's outpacing that. So I have to agree with you there, Brandon. Like, he's back. He's going to be in that conversation of prospects coming up or moving up based off of how he's playing.
He's been really good. And, like my first year getting to kind of see him play, I mean, obviously, I kind of, you expect a lot of offense when you see his junior stats. And obviously, you guys have alluded to and told me last year wasn't, his best year. But, to have a year like this to start, it's great. I mean, it'd be great for him if he can push for 20, like over the whole season. I think that'd be a huge year for him. And he's probably well on the way to pushing for that number.
Yeah, I mean, 7 points in 15 games so far. He's 1 point behind Nate Danielson, honestly, which is a really positive sign. He'll push 20. I think there could be a conversation, especially if he stays this hot. I think there'll be a conversation about pushing 30, which is a great thing to see. So we knew going into this season for this Griffins team to be successful, obviously the kids would have to produce, the veterans would have to produce. The veterans are producing, the kids are producing, and then even some guys that you're like, it'd be nice if they produced this year. They're producing too. Like, we went from having an episode that's literally titled, "Is the Griffins' lack of scoring a concern?" That is one of the show titles that we have out there over this season already. And they've gone on to score 23 goals in their last 5 games, including 4 shorthanded goals in that time. Like, the offense has suddenly exploded. I'm pretty sure in those last games too, every single game has been 4 goals or more in a game. Like, this is insane. This is not what we expected when we talked about this. I think literally 3 weeks ago, we were like, they're scoring 1, maybe 2 goals a game. The defense is just playing really good hockey. They're not allowing a lot of goals. And now all of a sudden the offense has exploded. And I mean, is it just taking more shots? Because we're not out shooting our opponents still. Like, what's the difference here, boys?
I think it's just quality shots, to be honest with you. I mean, they're picking and choosing their shots at the right time. I mean, Hanas has a 20% shooting percentage right now. Like, it's the highest he's had. I'm looking at the stat sheet right now too, and it's like there's out of 28 guys that's been rostered, there's 15 of them have goals. Now,
Which is a big change of pace from years past.
yeah, and you still take they account for Kosa, Huso, they account for Carter Kylander, they account for Trenton Bliss, who's played 2 games, Carson Bantle 3 games. So I mean, you take those out, and like the contributions coming from everybody. So good puck movement, good depth throughout. Because I mean, you see Deuce come in and 2 goals. Like, Betcher comes in, like he's still not on the score sheet, but he's only played 5 games.
He's on the score sheet. He's got an assist.
0 goals. Sorry, just goals. So I mean, it's just coming from everybody. Like, I just love this style of play because it's not like this. Sound the horn has been fun because it's like, who's got the first pick? It doesn't matter because anybody out of those 5 is gonna hit that night, or one of those guys isn't gonna hit that night and they're gonna go off the next night. Like, it's maddening to me, but I mean, it's coming from everybody. Just a better system, I think, too.
Well, I think what makes me excited, I mean, being a Red Wings fan, you're starting to see Nate Danielson get some points offensively. You're starting to see Amadeus Lombardi take that next step in his development. Alex Doucette, he's a Red Wings prospect by contract. He's starting to put points up at this level. Betcher, former draft pick, he got his first point. Hanas having a big year. He was a 2nd-round draft pick. Like, and Detroit is struggling to score goals at 5-on-5. Like, they're going to need some of these kids at some point to start scoring goals. So if they can start down here developing that scoring mentality, that's going to help this whole organization in the future.
Yeah, it's just really funny how it goes from 0, well, not 0 goals, because obviously we're scoring some, but all of a sudden the crazy amount all of a sudden, and I love it. And I'll be excited this week to get to hopefully chat with Dan Watson. I know we didn't get to chat with him after any of the post games this week. He was feeling pretty under the weather over this week, but I'll be excited just to see what his thoughts on that change are, because we haven't talked to him since this scoring explosion has happened. So I'll be pretty excited to jump into that. But I think the biggest thing for me right now is, like, obviously the 4th line is up in the air, right? Like, it's been different every night. There's been different guys on it, and some of those guys are starting to click together as well. But this team truly just has 3 lines rolling right now. You don't need that first line to produce a point in a night for us to win a game. The second line and third line can pick up the slack. At this point, like, someone asked last night, why is, Ammo still playing third line center when he's, one of the leading scorers in the team? And I'm like, I don't really view it as he's third line center at this point. He's a center on this team. And it seems like Coach Watson is kind of putting out the line that's playing the best that night the most. I wish we had time on ice stats. AHL doesn't share them. But just from the eye test over here, it looks like, Wednesday's game, that was the best line in the first period when the Griffins struggled to start. That line played a ton of minutes for the rest of the game and got the spark going. Friday night, it seemed like Nate's line was out there a ton. Last night, it seems like the Ammo line was out there a ton. So really, I'd be curious to ask the question to Dan, but I don't think he labels these lines first, second, third line. It's just whatever line he's throwing out there in the ice that's having the best night, and that's the one that's going to get the most minutes. That's what it's feeling like to me. But it's crazy to see us have 3 lines rolling like this. This is uncharted territory. Even last season, being a playoff team, it took until late February to have 3 lines rolling. Now we do in November. Like, I don't know. This is just uncharted territory for us to talk about on the show, because our first year of a show was the last year of Ben Simon. And the second year of the show was Dan Watson's first year, where everything was trying to get figured out. But now I guess if we had been covering Toledo the entire time, I guess we're experiencing what that's like, right?
Yeah, you're starting to see it a little bit. I mean, you're just starting to see that. I think the biggest thing with Waddy is like I've said, last year is kind of learning the ins and outs of the league while also improving the team, which objectively he did both and did both very well. Got Grand Rapids into the playoffs, won a playoff round, probably should have won that second round. You probably do if you don't lose Edvinson. And now this year, like, you're seeing, like, okay, he knows what to expect. He knows the ins and outs. Now it's just a matter of deployment. And I think, he got to learn a lot of the guys, how they play last year. A lot of the younger players, they're all back. I mean, especially the younger guys that, maybe weren't as high up on the radar to make the wings, like your Ammos, your Crosses, your now Doucettes. You look at some of these guys that, maybe seen a game or two last year, and like Doucette, or played, further down the lineup, like Ammo. Now he's seeing an expanded role in the third line instead of playing fourth line minutes. Now he's taking a step offensively. You add the additions of like your Ryklowskis. He's making a transition to American ice from a Czech league. You see guys like Austin Watson providing that veteran presence, teaching guys like Danielson, and Soderblom the ropes. Like, there's just so many great things. And like, you look at Shai Buyam on the back end, he's having a big start to this year. 2-0's playing relatively fine, I think. I mean, from the games I've got to watch, you look at Lagos and what he's provided to the back end. Like, there's just so many, like, it's just a well-rounded team. And when you put the right kind of pieces with your veterans in place, it just shows that if you have good young talent, that they'll find their way. It's just a matter of having the right voices and being deployed the right way. And I think that all kind of comes back to how good of a coach Waddy's been, and how learning the system last year, like, of how to coach in the American League, and just being in the American League as a whole, has really gotten him to take that next step as a coach, not just on the players.
I feel too, like, I like that you bring it back up, is this year feels more like a team. Like, last year we rode that first line of Marco, Berge, and Mazer for a long period of time. And like, every once in a while we would have somebody move up and like they produce. But this year, like, you're seeing at the top line, Joe Snively, Sheldon Dries, you're seeing those guys go off. You're seeing Shine go off on that line. Then you see the next night, you see Amadeus go off with the cross line. You see Austin Watson the next one with Nate Danielson. So it's just like, everybody's contributing. We're rolling these 4 lines, and that fourth line, it's gonna change. It's gonna change again here in a minute when we get Tim Gettinger back. It's gonna change when Carter Mazer comes back. It's gonna change, like, as the season goes on, and that's okay. Like, that fourth line shouldn't be a standard fourth line. Like, it's going to continue to rotate players in and out throughout the season, and changing some people's positions. Like, we saw Betcher start on the wing, and now he's playing center. We saw Seager start center and now he's in the first line. Like, that threw me off.
Yeah,
last
that was
night.
wild.
I'm just like, what?
Yeah,
Where-
Dries didn't play last night. We don't know why. There wasn't a call up or anything. I think it was just a night off, honestly, which, I mean, their schedule's been wild, so I understand. Booyam got the night off too. It wasn't anything like, it wasn't healthy scratch, like bad performance type thing. Like, they just got the night off. And when you have a team that's this deep, you can do things like that, which is pretty cool. I think the thing that sticks out the most for me is, like, obviously, Nick, you brought up that they're playing as a team. Like, we asked Cross Hanas on Wednesday after the school day game, like, has these early road trips really helped, bring the boys together, kind of like we saw the December road trip last year before Christmas. Really, that's what every player we've talked to says. That's where we became a team. Like, I'm like, is that happening earlier this year? And he said 100%. Like, this stuff helps all the time when you're spending this much time on the road. You get to know the guys better, and you just become a brotherhood. And he enjoyed that question and enjoyed explaining it. And I'm just glad to see that that's happening early this year. I guess these long road trips that we don't like because we don't get to go to as many games early on has really helped out the team. But the other thing that stands out to me with how deep this team is, and like Travis said, a well-constructed roster, is I look at the Red Wings right now. One injury happens, just it feels like the whole thing falls apart. We've lost how many guys for call-ups, injuries, and everything like that on this team, and they go out there and just freaking roll. Even when you're getting outshot, to have the record you have right now, like, it's just so impressive. This team is incredibly deep, and when you're talking a playoff run, I mean, guys, this is going to be a dangerous team when it comes to playoff time. Because one guy has an off night, doesn't matter. There's 6 other guys in this team that can slot in and pick it up. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, if we went on a crazy tear after Christmas last year, like, we're only allowing 2 goals. Like, I remember Kosa's crazy I don't remember Kosa's crazy stat line from last year, but
It's insane.
like, that started after Christmas. If he goes into that mode, like, after Christmas again, like, that's gonna be insane for the season, because
But he's already in that mode. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Can he take it another level? Like,
If he does, it's going to be insane.
If he does, he's gonna end up in Detroit. Like, if he hits a whole nother gear, like, sorry, but
you don't want him anywhere near that team right now.
dude, I'm just telling. He put a quote. He even said there was a quote that said, "I gotta make it as impossible for Detroit to not keep me down here as I can." Dude, if he's already at a 930 save percentage, if he hits another gear like he did last year, which is the gear he's kind of already in now, he goes to another level. I'm telling you, you can't keep him down here if he's playing that well. I'm sorry.
There's nothing else for him to prove at that point.
Right. I'm sorry. I'm all for taking the long game, but dude, if he's playing at that kind of a level, my God, you got to call him up. Like, I'm sorry. You got to see what you have at that point.
And oh no, we have a tandem of Jack Campbell and Billy Husso in Grand Rapids. Oh
Right.
God. Like, God, we are set up in such a good situation right now. And, you bring up Christmas, and I had to glance over at the schedule real quick because I wanted to see something. The Christmas road trip, again, we always talk about it. Boys, from December 7th to December 18th, they're on the road. Again, they go to Chicago for 2 games, they go to Colorado for 2 games, and they go to Texas again for 2 games. They do come home right before Christmas, which is nice. They got 2 games at home right before the actual Christmas break. But we get a 2-week road trip again before Christmas. The stars are aligning. That's all I'm saying right here.
Literally, I think they play the Stars a couple times during that trip.
That's why I said that.
All right, Trav. So you think, I have a question for you. If he goes like 1.5, 1.4, like in that area, and he's at .952 save percentage, you say call him up?
I say, depending on what happens with who's up there, like if you have goaltenders giving up soft ones off just bad positioning, like in the Ducks game with Alex Lyon, yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I do.
I get nervous about it just because the team is a dumpster fire right now. And I here's the thing. Are they really? It's so difficult when you talk about the Red Wings. This could extend this show another 20 minutes longer than it needs to. But at the same time, like, they shouldn't be this bad.
But
like, they shouldn't be, but they are. But they're not, because they're just below 500. So at the same time, like, it's just the expectations that were put on this Red Wings team coming into this season where for some reason people thought they were going to make the playoffs. I will sit here and say, hi, it wasn't me. I did not think they were going to make the playoffs this year. I at no point thought this Red Wings team was good enough to make the playoffs. I thought this was going to be a transitionary year where you see a lot of things happen. You're going to see these kids that are in Grand Rapids get some opportunities this year, but then they filled the team with a bunch of old guys that are really holding us back. I don't understand why we did that. But anyways, like they're not making the playoffs, and I was okay with that. I didn't think anybody needed to be fired for missing the playoffs. Now, to play the way they're playing, that might be a different conversation. But at the same time, I don't want Coase anywhere near this. He takes it up another notch in Grand Rapids. Cool. Take it up another.
But
and another.
I
want Hunter Shepard last year numbers out of Sebastian Coase. I don't know if you all saw those. He's really close.
I'm just making a statement that he's like goaltending's not the issue. Like the defense in front of them had like Cam Talbot's top 10 in save percentage. Like I just
playing out of his mind.
I just think like if you have a goaltender down here now, again, this has to happen. This isn't saying that this is gonna happen. Like
right.
If he continues like again, like at some point and I'm not saying if they did call Coase up, if he goes on if he hits another level, continues this upward crazy trajectory, if they did call him up, okay, I think they got a little bit better sense not to start him first game of his career in Dallas. Like, I trust that he would be deployed in a much more strategic way than what Jesper Wallstedt was.
So the numbers that I read you were Ville Husso's numbers for this year. 1.46, 0.95 save percentage.
Okay, what are his NHL numbers, Nick?
Not great. That's why I'm saying, like, I would not move him up, especially if goaltending's not the issue. We don't need to fix a wheel that's not broken. Bro,
if they continue on this trajectory, Coasa's going to see games after the deadline. Because they're going to trade one of Alex Lyon or Ville Husso.
Goaltending's not the issue, so I don't see why we need to pull up a guy to do it.
I'm just saying you giving a guy a look.
Goaltending is part of the issue. One of them right now, letting in soft goals. Like Lyon has looked terrible the past couple games. He's looked awful.
So you just roll with two.
Well, I mean, we've got to...
Who's going to give Detroit a better chance to win? Alex Lyon right now, Sebastian Coase, or Ville Husso?
Sebastian Coase.
Of those three, he's the best goaltender right now.
You know me, Nick. I've wanted the long game for him too. I'm not begging him. I don't want him called up. I want him here in Grand Rapids. I like him here in Grand Rapids. I want him to make a deep playoff run with Grand Rapids. But at the same time, is it time for him to see 5-6 games? Maybe. Like you talk about the resiliency and a bounce back. Let's say he goes up there and bombs. Okay. What can he do when he comes back to Grand Rapids? How does he respond to that? What's the worst case scenario for Grand Rapids right now? You have 2 veteran NHL goaltenders in net to pick from. Like, it's really the perfect storm of a time to go, hey, let's see what happens. Like, Merry Christmas, Coase. You're getting called up before the Christmas break. Have fun, buddy.
What's that schedule look like?
For the Red Wings? I don't know.
Bro, at some point, you're just going to have to get him up there. Like, it's just...
We have attachment issues. We can't let him go.
That's the problem. Like, dude, that's the thing. Like, you don't... I can understand, like, having him in GR for the whole year. I'm fine with that. But at some point, if he's rolling 950 and he's your future goaltender, at some point, it is time. Like, there comes a point where it's time. And, okay, so say he gets called up. Say he goes on a crazy another gear, gets called up, the season ends for the Wings, they miss the playoffs. What can they do with Coase? Hey, guess what? You're going to play in the playoffs in GR. Go win a Calder Cup.
I think the thing that Nick's the most concerned about is seeing what Wallstedt went through last year and how tough it was for him to bounce back. But at the same time, I mean, Detroit's struggling. They're not Minnesota last year bad. Like that team in front of Wallstead when he went up there and let in 7 goals and got left in for all 7 is a little different. I mean, Kosa goes up and lets in 3 or 4. Like Wallstead did right away. He's not finishing the game. They're not going to leave him out there to dry. Our organization's a little bit smarter than that. So, but again, I have
hope.
the confidence behind. No, they are.
I think
that's not even a question.
There.
That's not even a question.
This is all hypothetical too.
Yeah. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Purely speculating.
Yeah, it would have been nice to be safe for a Patreon part instead of the end of this episode.
It's fine.
I'm just kidding. But I think Kos is playing unreal hockey right now. And if there's a better time to do it when you have, I mean, we got to see what Jack's got, right? We got to understand that first. You can't just throw him to the fire.
I don't think you'll see Jack right away. I don't
think so either. You're going to see him come in and adjust to the team and all that fun stuff.
Probably
and
we'll also see 30th.
And we'll also see Gage Alexander because he was just reassigned to the Grand Rapids Griffins as well as we're recording this.
Oh.
So now there's 4 goalies in Grand Rapids once the Jack Campbell assignment comes through tomorrow. Yay, fun. But at the same time, is there a better time to call up your rookie first-round pick goalie when your AHL team you're pulling them up from won't suffer because they've got other good goaltending right now? It's really the best time across the organization to go, hey, let's try something. And dude, who knows? Kosa goes up there and back-to-back shutouts. Like what something crazy happens and we start going, who's getting traded? Like it's this time. Like we're gonna have to be the adults here and let go at some point. Like I know it's tough. He's still got to sign my Red Wings jersey before he goes. That's all I gotta say.
The fan base is just gonna be absolutely. I'll have to disappear for a week. If he does well, either route it goes. If he goes well, everybody's like, why wasn't he up here earlier? If he goes bad, they're like, what a garbage goal. Like, I just feel like that's how it's going to end up being. And I'm like, I don't want that. Like, pull him up, ease him in when he's ready. Like,
Nick, you need to spend more time on the Blue Sky Red Wings Twitter than the Red Wings Twitter itself. Yeah.
I just think
it's a lot more enjoyable over there.
There's no denying this. He is the closest to the Red Wings. As far as NHL ready, he is the next guy.
Yeah.
Ross Hanas entered the chat. No, I'm kidding. But at the same time, like, you're right. Like, I wouldn't feel comfortable. Like, obviously, before his injury, Mazur was probably the next closest player, right? Then he gets injured. We don't know what's going to happen with him. Is he made of glass? Is this going to be a long-term thing? That's scary if it is. But now, Kos is the next closest ready to player. If there's a call up that happens, let's say Ed's out long term, it's probably Lagesson that gets called up. Let's be real.
Most likely.
Like an injury on the Ford side of things, it's probably Sheldon Dries or Joe Snively that gets called up, or Austin Watson, depending on who the opponent is that night. Like most of the other kids, you're not going to see any disruption there for the rest of the season. In goal, we don't know because the Grand Rapids Griffins have 4 freaking goaltenders right now. I was just making fun of the Chicago Wolves for having 4 on their game sheet the other night, and literally 2 nights later, here I am.
I'll say this. Had they not signed Talbot, Kosa would probably be in Detroit right now.
1,000%.
Like,
1,000%. You would not be rolling with you would not be rolling with Husso and Lyon right now. I don't see that.
That's where the Talbot thing was a smart signing because now Kosa's thriving at an unreal level down here. Like,
so was Talbot, honestly. Like,
well, yeah, and he's playing really well. That's a credit. That might be just a credit to how good he is because I mean he's not a young player by any means, especially playing behind that defense to be having the year he's having. So all the credit to him too.
And what's the worst scenario here? Kosa gets called up and spends time with Cam Talbot, a veteran goaltender who's been around the league for how long, playing at an unreal level at an old age. Like,
hey,
oh darn!
Sorry, but there's your look into next year already because
because Talbot's got a year left.
That's your tandem next year, anyways.
I agree with that.
Sign me up for that, man. I'll take that all day. Just get Jeff Petrie away from the team, please. Sorry. Anyways, this turned into a Red Wings rant. That's not us. That's another podcast, actually.
Well, it involves us.
It does. It does. It's always good conversation, but at the same time, yeah, Nick and I are going to be the parents that won't let their kid go to college because they don't want to let him go at this point. That's basically what's become with Sebastian Cosa. Sorry, Kos. Again, I just got to get my Red Wings jersey signed, then he's free. That's all I got to do. But either way,
mine's already signed.
Shut up. You're not your Red Wings one.
Yeah.
Your Toledo one. Anyways, let's wrap this episode up, boys. I don't have anything else to add unless you guys do.
Negative.
Perfect. Well, thank you everyone for tuning into this one. It's a perfect place to wrap it up because I think we could go on another rant for another half hour, and I don't want to edit it. So as we end this episode, we got to thank our sponsors as always. Got to thank DraftKings and Game Time, and of course the Hockey Podcast Network for being fantastic partners with the show. But of course, the long-standing sponsor of the show, Everything Hockey Clothing Company, is our favorite. Head over to everythinghockey.com. Use code WEST. Save a few bucks off your order. It also supports the show. Pick up some hoodies because I don't know if y'all know, it's cold outside now. I was freezing the other day. Yes, thank you to them for always being there to support the show. We appreciate you guys. And of course, without our Patreon subscribers, the show would not be possible. And we've gained a few new ones over the last few weeks. So thank you guys for that. And our current ones are...
So we've got, as our Patreon subscribers, is Michael Alsate, Alan, Lori, Derek Sleazer, Randy, Griffin, Elaine Grace, and John in Florida.
John, are you actually in Florida? You got to let us know. And if you are, thanks for supporting the show and following these fantastic hockey teams. We appreciate that. And everybody else that's joined. If you want to support the show as well, head over to patreon.com/Hockeytown West Podcast. Check out the tiers there. I think we're getting ready to do a Patreon exclusive recording here soon. I know Nick's got a ton of fun stuff to talk about. I've got fun stuff to talk about. We'll probably argue more about goalies. Who knows? But head over there, check it out, and support the show. We appreciate you all. With that, everyone, until we talk again, go Griffins, go Walleye.
Love you. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Hockeytown West podcast. Be sure to check us out on Twitter at HockeytownWPod and your host, Nick at GR Hockey Guy and Brandon at BrandonGR Hockey.